Well, before we delve into the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria discussion, let's quickly take you through our Career Hub segment, because this one is also very, very important, and it has to do with the potentials that are actually driving the Ugandan labor market for the year 2022, and using that as a yardstick to measure what will happen in the new year 2023. Now, the BrighterMonday Uganda, which is a leading human resources services platform, has released its 2022 job search report, looking back on the year that was. BrighterMonday found that job searches in Uganda for the transport sector last year were more than searches for jobs in the banking and public sectors. There was an actual plus 298% increase from last year over the same period, while job applicants focused more on skills-based vacancies rather than jobs that require resumes. Entry-level related job searches and remote work searches were the two fastest growing search queries, growing by over plus 5,400% and plus 1,900%. This astonishing growth coincides with the full reopening of the economy, which, as well as the education sector, underwent several years of staggered openings and, of course, the closure during the COVID-19 pandemic. So today on Career Hub, powered by African talent company Xenia Wachira, who is the country manager for BrighterMonday Uganda, joins me to look at the potential and the trends driving Uganda's job market. Thank you so much, Xenia, for joining us on this platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Let's start by looking at your recent report and what it revealed. Now, according to your report, entry-level job searches grew by about over 5,000% yearly. Now, are there structures in place to accommodate these fresh job seekers within this space that they are actually looking for some means of livelihood?
Yes. So I'll approach this in three different aspects. First of all, there's a need for the government and the private institutions to take up initiatives that allow some of these job seekers, have those skills that are required in the job market. So we are in talks with some of the development agencies at the moment to upskill, identify and train these job seekers and then place them for internship opportunities in some of the organizations. To the employer side, one thing that we've seen that is quite predominant, and one of the trends that's there, is the employers now need to focus really on their employee value proposition that allows candidates to gain career development within the organization. So this will, incorporate things like intense in-job trainings that allow candidates or these job seekers to be able to, effectively fit into the organization. For the job seekers, we've seen with the pandemic, there's a more rise into remote jobs and side gigs. And this now opens our minds to job seekers having, multiple, streams of income, or advancing their career portfolio to allow them to have or to switch between jobs from one job to another without really having a lot of challenges. So those are some of the initiatives that have been taken in place in terms of the surge in the entry-level jobs in the country.
So that will bring me to this question, because just as you have said, there is a rise in the number of entry job searches. So are there actually matching positions for this demand in terms of job search? And of course, when you look at what the market is looking for predominantly, would you say that the market is looking for fresh graduates or experienced candidates to fill these vacant roles?
Okay, so honestly, and having worked in this space and being in a platform which allows me to interact with both job seekers and employers are mostly looking for experienced job seekers. Why? Because they want to close the gap between training, which takes up to 6 months, to someone actually effectively being able to fit within their role. So there is not, a big demand for entry-level jobs in the market. However, what we are finding is that the young generation now is more open to, learning and, acquiring more skills that allow them to actually bridge the gap between, school and which is more theoretical, to practicality, which is in the workplace. So honestly enough, most employers are looking for experienced job seekers, as we've seen the behavior of the employer. However, this does not mean that there is no opportunity for entry level, a seeker who is in the entry level space.
But then where does that now leave those who are graduates who probably underwent internship trainings but do not have the prerequisite skills for the jobs? How will they be able to attain the experience they need for them to have a career growth that would also help them improve on the deliverables when, as at the time, they get to find a job? Where does that leave them?
I'll beg your pardon on that question kindly.
Okay, so let me just go over it again. I said, where does this now leave fresh graduates who probably, underwent internship trainings but do not have the prerequisite skills for them to get the job? Of course, so many job seekers are looking for career growth, and that comes with experience on the job. So where does it leave them when companies or the market, the labor market, is actually looking for those who are already experienced for these roles?
Okay, so there are two opportunities for job seekers. Given the change in the workspace across the world, not only in Uganda, I think job seekers need to now be open-minded to looking at their advancement in career, not only in the traditional employment space where there is the employer-employee engagement, but also look at what other side gigs am I able to do for me to be able to get first of all, the skill that I'm required to get into the job market for full-time employment. And secondly, for me to have that stream of income that I need to survive, right? So number one, we'll have to be more open-minded to remote jobs. Secondly, we have to be more open-minded to having more than one skill, where you're continuously thinking about creating your career portfolio. For example, I'll give an example. If you're in the sales space or if you're in the HR space, or you should be looking in terms of how do I get into the digital space, because that's where the world is moving to. How do I get into the tech space? What other skills am I supposed to to start learning for me to be able to qualify for more than one job? So there's going to be need for not only depth, but in terms of also looking towards what other jobs am I able to do? So it's not only something that is an obligation that is only to the employer, but also as the job seeker, especially this dynamic young generation. We need to be more open-minded to look at how can we help ourselves to be able to place ourselves in this job market. So if you look at most of successful people in the full-time white-collar jobs, most of them tell you that they start at an internship level, where sometimes you are paid maybe a very low income, and then you are more willing and open-minded to grow yourself and to acquire the skills on the job for you to be able to fit in the job market.
You talked about the tech space being an in-demand area where so many job opportunities and job demands are actually saturated. So I'm looking at the year 2022 down to 2023. What are those skill sets and qualifications that you would consider as hotcakes in Uganda?
Okay, cool. So number one, we've seen a very high demand in the soft skills, right? So right now, it's not only about what's on your paper, what qualifications you got from the university or from any other institutions. It's about what soft skills are you able to bring on the table. So it doesn't only go about soft skills, but looking at also data skills. So those are one of the, every time we engage with clients, one of the things you hear is, I need someone who has problem-solving skills. I need someone who is able to read data and make decisions based on data. So these are some of the qualifications that we are supposed to arm ourselves with as job seekers, because it's not only about what is on the paper, which is the traditional way of qualifying and placing a candidate, but also looking at what other skills are required for me to fit into different roles in the organization.
Now, the reports also show that remote job search is also one of the fastest growing. Now, looking at the supply side, does the market have that capacity to provide jobs for these ones who are hoping to work from home?
Okay, so first of all, I think it depends with the industry, right? So there's various industries, as we saw during the pandemic, were able to thrive even during the pandemic, and others really didn't thrive because of the way their work is set. So one thing that we've been able to see is that we are still not there in terms of supply, right? So if you look at the BrighterMonday platform, in 2022, 80% of our remote jobs locally from employers who are in Uganda were mostly from the tech space, which does not make a huge percentage of the total jobs that we posted on our site. So you find that the supply is not there yet. We are not there yet in terms of supply. However, with the future of work and where things are going, we are definitely getting there. And employers who are looking to win the talent will have to definitely have an open mind in terms of allowing this flexibility in their working terms with the candidates. So we are not there yet. However, we are headed there. But there's a demand for it, especially from foreign companies which are looking for dynamic young people to work remotely from Uganda. But locally, it's not there yet, but we are getting there.
All right, now, part of the report, there's a part of the report that actually interests me so much, and it has to do with job searches on the upside, job searches in the transport sector, that is people looking for a job in the transport sector, than you would find in the banking and, of course, the public sector. So I was now asking the question, like I will put it to you now, is it that these job seekers are actually looking for jobs that are more flexible, or is it that they do not like office jobs, as it were, and prefer jobs that would give them the freedom, so to speak? I'd like to understand the rationale behind that.
Okay, cool. So one thing that made this job search, and one thing that we know that made the job search around the transport and logistics area was because that was one of the trending industry in Uganda in 2022. So you would find companies like Uganda Airlines having a lot of jobs. So that led to the job search, not to mean that most candidates are moving away from office jobs towards the public sector, towards the transport and logistics sector. However, we've been able to see from our platform, analyzing our data, we see that most of the industry, the top 5 industries who create jobs in Uganda are banking and finance, logistics, there's the public sector, and there's the NGO space. So there's that trend of 2022 with that particular industry, therefore having that job search. However, these are the industries which are really the top predominant employers in Uganda.
All right, now we understand that Uganda is reopening, or should I say is growing and opening up to businesses, and of course the economy is also thriving, even as the COVID-19 pandemic has doused a bit, if I could put it that way. But then looking at the report, what picture did it paint for the Ugandan market in terms of how it is recovering and reawakening and rediscovering itself to bring about some economic progress within the market?
Okay, so we got out of the pandemic effects where there was it really affected the employment rate of the Ugandan market, right? However, just as we gained our footing, we got into the high cost of living crisis, which then has brought us back to a lot of businesses and a lot of employers are first holding back on scaling their operations and cutting costs at the same time. So what that means is we are finding, even in terms of the supply within our platform, is a lot of employers first want to hold on and see what is going ahead in 2023, given the inflation, the average inflation of about 7.2% that happened in 2022. So the pandemic, yes, we've recovered from the pandemic. However, we have still not yet recovered because we are back because of the inflation rates, the high inflation rates in the country.
All right, thank you so much. Now, let's look at the trends for the year 2023 and do a bit of projection. Now, what are those trends that you feel will drive economic activities for Uganda in the labor market and, of course, the economy in this year?
Okay, so Uganda is in a very exciting phase where we are entering into the drilling phase of the oil production, right? So this is estimated to create about 14,000 jobs directly and 100,000 more indirectly. So what this means is we'll need the industry to provide this upskilling for job seekers to fit within this space. So what we are seeing is, companies like Uganda National Oil Company being one of the top search most companies last year in terms of the job search, according to our report. We see top players like Total Energies and CNOOC really playing this part. And within the next 2-3 years, there should be job creation because now Uganda, in the next 2-3 years, will move towards the oil production, will be an oil production country. So that is one of the most emerging trends we see in the Uganda economy. This will impact the job market in a very significant way, and in turn will also impact the economy of Uganda.
All right, thank you so much, Xenia, for joining us. We hope that these reports will be able to bring about some sort of transformation for the Ugandan economy and, of course, for its labor market, because at the end of the day, what is important is to ensure that there are jobs for the teeming youths that are looking for them, and you're able to plug the right set of people with the right set of skill sets in the right places. Thank you so much, Xenia.
Exactly. Thank you.